It's Dr. Melissa McCreary from TooMuchOnHerPlate.com, and today I want to talk about a dilemma that I hear from so many busy women who are struggling to change their relationship with food and know that they need to take better care of themselves so that they don't turn to overeating and snacking and even binging as a way to fill in the gaps. It's the dilemma of how do you possibly take better care of yourself and take the time to do that when you're already busy and you don't have time. So let's tackle this topic of fitting in self-care so that you can stop overeating. And let's start by getting really clear on what an overeating trap this can be. Most of the overeating that happens, most of the mindless eating and emotional eating and stress eating and comfort eating, it is an attempt to get something from food that isn't nutrition, that isn't your body's physiological need for fuel. Most of the overeating that happens, especially for busy women, has to do with using food as a replacement for other things, or as a band-aid to try and cover over something that you're not really getting, or as a way to numb yourself or push down feelings or needs or desires or cravings that your body and your mind and your spirit might have that you aren't taking care of for one reason or another. Over time, it can become almost automatic to reach for food when certain situations or feelings or cravings or desires come up. It can be so much easier when it feels like you're short on time or you have obligations to other people to reach for something to eat instead of taking care of yourself. What it becomes is a vicious cycle where your needs aren't being met. You're reaching for food as a way to try to cover over that reality. But in the end, whether it's a few seconds, a few minutes, or a few days later, you're back in that same situation with those needs that are still calling to you, reaching for food one more time and not feeling good about the process and not getting the satisfaction that you deserve. For a lot of smart, busy women, the idea of prioritizing their own needs or really focusing on their own self-care might seem impossible. It might seem overwhelming and stressful, like I can't possibly add one more thing to my crowded life. Or it might seem indulgent or even ridiculous. It might make you roll your eyes or make you feel really uncomfortable to think about the idea of making self-care a priority or focusing on your own needs. You might think it's ridiculous. You might think that you don't deserve it, or that it really shouldn't be a priority, or that you really shouldn't need to make self-care and your own needs a focus. Any of these things ring a bell for you? All right, well, if they do, let me tell you, all of those things, all of those beliefs, those are stories, they are myths, and they are not serving you. Let's take a closer look at 4 of the biggest myths about self-care. Number 1, self-care takes too much time. I don't have time to take better care of myself. I don't have time to focus on me. It's a myth. Self-care does not need to take a lot of time. You don't need to block out 4 hours to go to the spa or a 3-week vacation in order to start improving the way that you respond to your desires, your needs, your cravings, and your feelings. In fact, you can be really strategic and focus just 10 minutes a day on listening to yourself, on asking yourself what you need, on planning out your day, on doing some deep breathing or writing in your journal. All of these things have the potential to help you identify what it is that you need and respond to those needs in a way that will allow you to be more taken care of. Myth number 2 is that self-care is indulgent. Self-care is a luxury, and it's something, again, that you don't have the time and energy for. You know what? It's not true. Self-care is absolutely necessary, especially if you're busy, especially if you lead a stressful life, especially if you have a lot of people relying on you. Self-care, it's the fuel that you give yourself so that you can show up and be your most creative, focused, effective self. It is the way you nourish yourself so that you can show up and play your A game in your life. Myth number 3 is that you shouldn't need self-care, that self-care is unnecessary. Guess what? Self-care is smart. Smart people, smart leaders, smart high achievers, they prioritize self-care. They go to the gym. They make sure that they are managing their energy and their vitality, again, in a way that they can show up and lead their lives, lead the other people in their lives, and set an example for the people that they care about. Self-care isn't selfish. That's another myth. Self-care is the way that you pay yourself first so that you have something to give. Myth number 4 is that self-care just can't be at the top of my priority list right now. I have too many other things to focus on that are really important. I need to get the project in at work. I need to get my eating in line. I need to focus on all these things on my to-do list. Guess what? When you start with a focus on self-care, when you pay yourself first, when you take the time to be centered and clear on what your priorities are, what your needs are, what your desires are, when you show up well-fed and well-nourished, and I'm not talking about food, the other pieces of your life fall into line much more easily. When you nourish yourself in the ways that you really need, your relationship with food becomes much simpler. So how do you focus on self-care when you're already busy and you don't have a lot of time? You start from the place of acknowledging that self-care, your needs, your cravings, your desires are important. Don't get lost in big, huge projects of how you're going to meet them or what you're going to do about them or churning out big new self-care to-do lists. Self-care begins with compassion. Acknowledge the reality that your needs are important. Make a commitment that from here on out, you're going to pay attention to them, even if all you can do is take 5 minutes to be compassionate with yourself and acknowledge that, boy, I really want this, or I'm having a really difficult day today. This is really tough. Or, you know what, I'm really tired. Acknowledge the real need and then ask yourself, what is the smallest thing I can do? What can I actually do to respond to this need, this feeling, this craving that I'm having? Practice setting aside 10 to 15 minutes a day to center yourself, to pay attention to what it is you're needing, and to sketch out a few plans for how you can make your day unfold in an easier way that acknowledges who you are, what you're feeling, and what it is that you need. If you'd like some help coming up with some easy, doable ways to add more self-care to your life, you can go to toomuchonherplate.com/self-care-ideas, and you can download a free guide, 25 ways to improve your self-care and short-circuit overeating. Make a commitment today to take better care of you. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, and it can make all the difference.